Welcome to today's live IELTS class. My name is Adrian and I'm streaming to you from beautiful Victoria here on the west coast of Canada. I hope everybody is having a great start to their weekend. I hope you're staying healthy, strong, and productive and active. In this class, we are looking at some questions from our members for the IELTS exam, and I will do my best to give you clear and useful answers so that you can find that Band 9 level for the different sections of the test. While we wait for some of our members to join in, this lesson is presented to you by aehelp.com. For academic IELTS success, check us out there. For the general IELTS, visit us at ieltshelp.com. That's generalieltshelp.com. On both of those websites, we do have a lot of materials to answer many of your questions and to practice so that you can get those high band scores. I'll show you what these websites look like. This is our academic IELTS website here at aehelp.com. It's got this blue background, and you can click this big red button to join the premium package. It's a one-time payment for lifetime access. Welcome to the class, Akshay. We're just waiting for a few more of your peers before we get into it. And then for the general IELTS, it's this green background here. And again, click that big red button to join the premium package. It is well worth that one-time payment. We are an official British Council IELTS test registration center and certified agents, so you're in good hands with us. You can download and link our apps. Our apps are Academic IELTS Help. This app will link you to aehelp.com, and General IELTS Help app will link you to gieltshelp.com. You can also follow us on Instagram. On Instagram, we share lots of vocabulary as well as some common answers to common questions. So for academic, follow us on IELTS_AHelp or gieltshelp. And if you have questions, then you can always send me an email as well. So members, if your question isn't answered in this class today, you can just send it to me by email, adrian@aehelp.com, and we're pretty good at getting back within about 24 hours or less for any inquiries. You can get our books through Amazon also. These are our exam books. Just search for AE Helps Academic IELTS and GE Helps General IELTS. All right, so we've got this Q&A session for members coming up right now. Questions can be about the IELTS exam, about English, about studying abroad or moving abroad. I have a fair bit of experience with that as a British Council agent as well, so I can give you some answers, and I'm quite worldly. I've been to a few countries and lived in a few countries. So after this class, we'll have a speaking part 2 where everybody will be able to join the chat. We will look at a new cue card for that. It is going to be, again, for everyone. If somebody wants to become a member of our channel, by the way, all you have to do is click the join button next to the subscribe button, choose the correct tier of membership, and then go from there. Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, we have no class. And then from the 25th, which will be the Wednesday, again, we'll have a full week of classes starting with speaking part 1. So that is going to be up on our YouTube community board, and you can see the schedule there. All right, let's get into some questions and answers. So members, the Q&A session is for you once every couple of weeks. It gives you a chance to ask me some questions, again, about the IELTS. It's a first come, first serve basis, so whoever asks me the question first in the chat, I will respond to first. And then if I see some questions that are on the same topic or discussing the same issue then I will try to, of course, combine the responses. So welcome Rashika, welcome Nikhil. So go ahead and ask me your questions, any questions that have come up during your studies while you're watching videos on YouTube from myself or from other instructors. So go ahead and ask me your questions. Again, it's first come, first serve. If I don't know the answer, I'll let you know, but I'll do my best certainly to give you an accurate response. While you're thinking about your questions, just very quickly on the websites, when you log into your My Student account by clicking there, you have these resources up above your username. You have the forum, you have the blog, the contact us, and the question mark. So you can always use that to get some of your answers as well. We just updated our blog. So our blog will now have this nice navigation bar at the top, so you can flip through the pages, and then you can click on these topics here like IELTS Focus, IELTS Information, Learning, and you can see there's lots and lots of blogs there to help you. So I know that's a little bit bright here. Let me see if I can kind of darken it up a bit so you see what I'm talking about. There you go. Yeah, so you can click on any one of these, like IELTS Preparation and Studying. For IELTS, it's got 17 different topics, so you click on that. And then you have IELTS Speaking Part 1, Questions and Answers, topic is weather, and so on. Okay, so check those out. And then aside from the blog, there is also a forum where you can communicate with other IELTS students. There's a knowledge base, and you can directly send us an email as well. Okay. All right. So I see that Rashika is asking a question. Let me brighten up our day a little bit here. There we go. So Rashika is asking, do we receive an extra 10 minutes in the reading section to transfer answers to the answer sheet? Rashika, no. In the reading section, you are putting your answers directly into the answer sheet in the paper-based, and in the computer-based, you're just actually clicking or typing the answers, so you do not get 10 minutes. It's not like the paper-based listening section. In fact, Rashika, in the computer-based IELTS exam in the listening section, you do not get 10 minutes to transfer your answers to the answer sheet. You get a couple of minutes for reviewing your answers, and that's it. Okay, so Rashika, the answer to your question is no. In the reading section, you put answers directly into the answer booklet, so you do not have time or extra time for transferring answers. Simply put, Rashika, just keep this in mind. You have 60 minutes to complete the reading section. Once that's up, your time is done and you go to the next section. So once your 60 minutes is done for the reading, and they don't tell you when there's 20 minutes or 40 minutes, it's basically start and finish. So the invigilator will introduce the reading section. They'll say, okay, now we shall continue with the reading section. They'll give you some instructions, and then they'll say, okay, when you're ready, your 60 minutes starts, and then your 60 minutes will start very soon after. Once that 60 minutes is up, you actually get a notification 10 minutes before the 60 minutes is up, so that's kind of good to keep in mind. You will be notified when there is 10 minutes left in the section. And they'll also say, and you may no longer use the washroom. Okay, so in the final 10 minutes, they'll say, okay, you have 10 minutes left in the reading section. At this point in time, you may no longer use the washroom. So keep that in mind, that if you really need to go to the bathroom, don't wait until the final 10 minutes, because they do not let you exit the room at that time. Okay, so that's what you need to know about the timing of this section. Okay. All right. Nick Hill says, can you provide a checklist for task 1 and task 2 so that I can use it when I'm proofreading the essay? Okay. I'm not 100% clear, Nick Hill, what you mean by that checklist, but I think I have an idea. So I think your question, Nick Hill, is, can you provide a proofreading checklist for task 1 and task 2? Okay, sure. So kind of like, what are the main points that you should be looking for, Nick Hill, right? Okay. All right. So number 1, yeah, okay. And this is the order I would do it in, is look for any information mistakes. That's what I would do first, Nick Hill, is try to see if there's any key piece of information missing, or if I'm going off topic, okay? And when you're looking for information mistakes, I would also, at this point, make sure the writing is concise. So I would kind of do that together. So if you catch any sentences, phrases where it feels like it's wordy, that's the word we use in English, it's wordy, then you want to kind of shrink those down. So look for information mistakes. Then secondly, you should look for grammatical mistakes. Okay, and then finally, you should look for vocabulary improvement. Remember, students, that the English language has a massive vocabulary base. So I think standard everyday use English is up to something like 1.4 million words. So you have words in English that can express some very complex ideas, and you want to look for those, okay? So remember that English has a massive vocabulary, and you want to find words that express complex ideas. That will really help you to make your essay concise as well. Okay? So that's kind of basically like the 1, 2, 3 of the checklist that I use when I go through my essays. First, I want to look at information mistakes. Okay? Information mistakes. At this point, let me get a little bit more detailed here for information mistakes as well. Look at structure. Look at author's voice. Look at verb tense mistakes. Okay, such as using will unnecessarily. Okay, if you find the word will in your essay, you should be thinking about how to remove that. Okay, so that could be your checklist, Nick Hill. So firstly, look for information mistakes. Make sure the writing's concise so you don't have extra unnecessary words. Look at the structure. So make sure that you have the right format: introduction, hook, background, thesis. Look at the author's voice. Make sure that you're not using you, or that if it's a first person voice like we did this week, then we can see that in body 1, body 2. Look at the verb tense mistakes. So if you say, like, people will be able to do this, then change it to people can do this. Okay, you should usually be in the general tense, so general present tense, okay? Look for passive, active voice on the tenses as well. Errors. So can I make this sentence more elegant, more complex in the sense that it creates smoother reading? Can I combine sentences? Is this sentence unnecessarily complex? So look at your grammar, okay? And then finally, look for vocabulary improvements. Use a thesaurus, use a dictionary, and look to improve your vocabulary throughout the essay. Okay, that's what I would do. All right, good question, Nikhil. Thank you for that. All right, let's see. Some more questions. Lots of questions coming up now. Okay, Arda says, hi, sir. I can't join the class today because of my brother's birthday party. Arda, happy birthday to your brother. Have fun at the party and catch up when you have some time. Okay, Deepika says, can you teach us punctuation, please? Okay, Deepika, that's a big question. That's a big ask. Punctuation is a complex topic, and of course we could have lots of classes on punctuation. So it is important to use punctuation well. In Ielts, okay? By punctuation we mean like commas, period, semicolon, okay? Brackets or parentheses. Quotation marks are common as well. All right. Yeah, so you should use these accurately for sure. Okay. And it is important to learn that. There are lots of different rules for this, Deepika. I'll talk a little bit about some of the common mistakes that I see people make when they are doing their writing for the IELTS exam, okay? So common punctuation mistakes in IELTS that cost you marks, all right? Okay, so let's go through this because I see a lot of writing from IELTS students, and I definitely do see some recurring mistakes, okay? So number one, leaving a space before periods and commas, okay? So for example, students will often write, before okay, so this is a common mistake that I see in people's writing, is that they'll actually leave a space before the comma or before the period. That's very awkward, okay? There's no space. So periods, commas, semicolons, quotation marks, they come directly after the last letter, okay? So there should be no space. Before a punctuation mark. Okay. Another common mistake, Deepika, that I see is an overuse of commas. And another way to say it is using commas when not needed. And the technical term, if you want to know it in writing, it's called a comma splice. Okay, so I'll give you an example of this one as well. So often a student will write a sentence that's something like this. So let me think of a good sentence here for you. So many companies invest a lot of money into the environment, which have the best interest of future generations in mind. Okay. All right, so oftentimes I'll see something like this where students learn somewhere that you and you can see the grammar check is catching that space there before the comma. So many students learn that before the word which, it's often that you'll have a comma. So every time they use the word which, they'll put a comma before that, adjective clause indication. But oftentimes it's not needed. So many companies invest a lot of money into the environment which have the best interest of future generations in mind. Here you don't need this comma. And oftentimes you don't need the comma. So you want to be really careful with overusing comma. The kind of rule in writing, okay? So trying to get that lined up, but whatever. Okay, so the common rule, let me just fix this. I'm a geek for formatting. Okay, so the common concept in good writing is that the author wants to create a smooth flow and rhythm for the reader. This means avoiding the overuse of punctuation. Okay, so sometimes people think that, oh, if I have a good piece of writing, then it should have a lot of punctuation, like a lot of semicolons and commas, because then it looks really advanced and fancy. But that's not actually true. So if you study English literature, you will learn that good writing minimizes the use of punctuation in order to minimize the breaks for the reader. Okay, because punctuation, like a period or a half stop or a full stop, you hear these expressions as well, they stop the reader. That's why they're called a half stop or a full stop or a quarter stop. So in good writing, you actually want to minimize the use of punctuation so that your reader has a really good flow to their reading. Okay? I hope that makes sense. Now, Deepika, in order to get more information, go to the blog on the website, and in the blog you will find, let me see, you can do a search in the blog here and search for comma or comma rules, okay? And when you search for comma rules, you'll find this blog here. It's a great read. Let me just darken that up a bit so you can see that real clear. Okay, so Deepika, I highly recommend you checking this out, okay? It's called Ielts Task 1 and 2, Using Commas, 12 Rules to Follow, okay? So read that blog. Just do a search for comma rules in the blog, at aehelp.com, and you're going to find that blog, and that will give you a lot more insight on how to use commas accurately, because that's usually where students make mistakes on the IELTS. Semicolons, if you know how to use them, great. If you're not sure how to use them, don't panic. You don't need to have that level of comprehension of punctuation for the IELTS exam. When you get to university and when you're doing essays in university, yes, you will need to up your game, but not so much for the IELTS exam, okay? So for the IELTS exam, it's not absolutely critical that you understand the use of more advanced punctuation, but you should know how to use commas, so check that out, all right? Okay. So that's my tip for all of that, okay? All right, let's see some more questions. 5D Andre says, hello, how as formal, informal can I get in the speaking section? For example, can I use the phrase I was like to indicate speech? If not, then how bad would it be if I accidentally use it? That's a great question, Andre. So Andre's question is, how formal should my speech be, or my speaking be, during the speaking section? What happens if I use colloquial expressions and or slang like wanna, gonna, like, radical, cool, okay? Let's get into a few of these. That's a really good question, okay? So the answer is it's okay to use informal language as long as you don't overuse it. You do want to sound professional, okay? So in order to maximize your scores, it's difficult to answer this question, but I will do my best to give you a clear idea. So in order to maximize your speaking score, you do want to sound professional, okay? Meaning clear, coherent, and advanced language. By advanced language, I mean complex grammar and vocabulary. Okay. So, having said this, everybody does have their own style of diction, and that's okay. As long as it doesn't detract from the above. Okay, detract means take away. So if you use the words wanna, gonna, so this weekend I'm gonna meet up with some friends and we will go for a nice walk to the park, like just the other day where we like to hang out and have a great conversation. So there, my speaking is still okay. I'm starting to bring some natural diction in there. That's my style. It's not actually my style. I'm just copying some styles. But that's fine, and it's okay to use natural fillers like as well. However, if you're using this type of colloquial language so much that you're avoiding the use of more complex grammar, you're avoiding certain words. This is why I always tell students, do not use the words stuff and things. The words stuff and things are commonly a part of many people's diction. So the things I like in my home are. Instead, you want to say the items that I like in my home, or my belongings that I really enjoy in my home are. So you always want to find that better vocabulary. Sometimes the nuances that we use in our natural language, using words like wanna, gonna, like, cool, stuff, it's actually decreasing the quality of our speech because we're not using more accurate words. We're not expressing ourselves clearer. So, of course, what will happen, Andre, is this will take points from your coherence. It will take eventually scores from your lexical resource, so the vocabulary that you're using. So you do want to sound professional. So if you're using the word stuff and things and like often throughout your speech, you will definitely lose at least one band score before the interview is over, because you're not picking up maximum points for coherence, for vocabulary, and for grammar. Your fluency might still be okay, and that's kind of the interesting part, is we use this kind of natural diction and these filler words to keep our fluency going, right? But fluency is not enough alone for that band 9. And we just actually released a video in HD with an interview with an Indian candidate from New Delhi, and she's a perfect example of this because she's very fluent, but she's not always coherent because of her diction. Okay? Does that make sense, Andre? About natural diction is okay, but overusing it and avoiding more specific vocabulary or better grammatical structure, that's what's going to cost you the mark. So a little bit is okay. It's very difficult for any one person to completely eliminate all natural diction. You're not, if you use the word things once in your interview, or if you use the word like once in your interview, you're probably not going to lose points. If you use the word stuff, if you're my student or you're my candidate, then you probably would lose a half band on using the word stuff. But yeah, so once or twice, it's okay. Too much, it's not good. All right, hopefully that makes sense, Andre. So you have to find the right balance, okay? And your goal absolutely is professional language. So when you're thinking about the IELTS speaking interview, you should be thinking about giving or hosting a meeting in a company. You're an executive, you're maybe the executive for product development, and you're hosting a meeting with the other executives. The company's worth millions of dollars, and of course you're giving a presentation using clear, coherent, formal English. So you should be focusing on that. All right? So, any more questions, members? So those are some great questions so far. Anybody have any more questions? All right. It looks like, okay, we got one more, so we'll take this. Ken says, Adrian, can you give me what is the hardest part in speaking in IELTS? Yeah, it's definitely not that informal, Andre, going back to that. Yeah, it's not that informal at all. Yeah. Ken is asking, what is the hardest part in speaking in IELTS? Okay, yeah, so it's a good question, Ken. So Ken is asking, what is the most challenging part of IELTS speaking? I would say, Ken, that part 2, cue card, is the most challenging for most candidates, let's say, because it is not a type of situation that people are used to in everyday life. Okay, so part 2, Ken, I would say is the most challenging because usually we do not walk around giving 2-minute little speeches on many topics. Okay, so talking for 2 minutes clearly, coherently about a specific set of questions is arguably the most challenging part of the speaking section. Also, it decides a lot of your mark because part 3 is connected to part 2. So if you do a good job in part 2, you have a much better chance of doing a great job in part 3. If you do a bad job in part 2, usually part 3 ends up being not as good also. So definitely part 2. And on that note, Ken, our next class will be speaking part 2. We'll go through that, and I'm going to explain exactly what you need to do in part 2. So I'll stop there for today, everyone. Again, for lots more answers, you can visit us at aehelp.com for academic IELTS and gieltshelp.com for general IELTS. Check out the forums, check out the blogs, check out our knowledge base that's there for you. You can click on the question mark in your My Student account. Good questions today, students. Again, if you forgot your question or if you remember after the class, you can always send me an email, adrian@aehelp.com, if you don't find it online. Okay. Deepika, yes, you can start a sentence with also. It's followed by a comma, so also, comma. In most situations, Deepika, we use also to join phrases, but you can start a sentence with also. It's not like and or but. You shouldn't start sentences with and or but. All right, everyone. So that's it for the Q&A session for now. I'm Adrian signing out from beautiful Victoria, and I will see you in 30 minutes for speaking part 2 Q card. Bye for now. See you soon.